Hey guys, to help run the forums, host the website, and travel, we've introduced a universal service fee for in-depth coverage, including this video. My goal is to be unbiased and transparent. It's a privilege to serve you. This is not an endorsement. Let's get into it. Hey guys, so I just wanted to do kind of a condensed European RadWagon review. Beautiful day. We've been cruising around Seattle, enjoying the different sites, checking out a few of their different bikes, including the Rad City, which uses a very similar drivetrain, same battery, same motor. And that is the US and Canada RadWagon. Then over here, we have the European RadWagon. So you might be like, well, what's the difference? Like, why? Why do you even have two? And before we get into why, I want to point out that the lights are always enabled. That's a European requirement. So as soon as the bike has been turned on, that's going to be the situation. This rear light's a little bit different. It's got some more LEDs and stuff. And Mike, will you go ahead and pull one of the brake levers? Look at that. Really bright. It's a great light. Not that this other light isn't bad, but I guess it had to be a little bit bigger or something like that. And look at these. Yeah, that's awesome. Just plenty of, and it doesn't flash. So there is a flashing mode on the US version, but I guess that's not allowed in Europe for the special class. And then they have this license plate bracket right here, and that's required because there's a different class. Again, we'll get to that. We come up to here, they've got this little Avis Shield 5650. This is it's like a cafe lock or a frame lock. There's a bar that slides right through the spokes over there. So if I kind of push on this rod, it would keep the rear wheel from moving. And that's something that I guess is fairly common in Europe. It allows you to dash into the cafe, grab a drink without having to get a chain out and like lock the entire bike. And with a bike that weighs, I think 73.5 pounds, it's gonna be tough for someone to like lift this thing up and run away with it. So that's cool. Those are really the primary differences aside from top speed. This goes up to 25 kilometers per hour, roughly 15.5 miles per hour, and that's a requirement. And it comes back to the classification. So I think this is like L1E-A. Did I get it?
Yeah, it's called L1EA.
Yes. L1EA.
Which stands for, it's a light-powered cycle category. So it's sort of a blend between motorcycle, moped, scooter, and electric bike.
So Mike, I'm so, by the way, this is Mike Radenbaugh from Rad Power Bikes, co-founder, CEO. I've known these guys for a while, and I've reviewed a bunch of their bikes, and they're pretty much all class 2 in the United States, which means 20 miles per hour, and it has a twist throttle as well as pedal assist. So what's the L1EA?
So we selected L1EA because it blends our love for a throttle and 750 watts of power on demand with the regulation requirements of the European market.
Okay.
So in Europe, you traditionally will have a 25 kilometer an hour and 250 watt maximum power electric bike with no throttle.
Correct. Class 1, right?
So yeah, so doing the L1EA category, basically being pioneers in this category, the first bike there delivered in this way.
Really? The first 2 bikes, because you also have a Rad Rhino, right? Okay. So what do people have to do since it's L1EA? Like there's the license plate thing. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so the plate right here is designed for mounting a variety of license plates. They're usually this size for moped, scooter size plates. So you would order that online, and they're usually delivered in 1 to 2 days to your doorstep.
Interesting.
The process in Europe is much more standardized because of scooters and the proliferation of all those 2-wheel devices there.
And more people riding e-bikes in general. And
absolutely.
And having the throttle on a bike like this, that's really nice. There is also walk mode, so you can hold on a down arrow. Is that true? It's enabled? You left that? Yeah. Okay, cool. Because a lot of other European bikes, it seems like sometimes they don't have the walk mode. But being able to come up here and twist this throttle to get started up a hill, or maybe catch up with someone, or navigate across terrain where you're not very stable and so pedaling is difficult, that's pretty cool. I mean, why not have a throttle? And this one, you can actually disable it, so you can press this button and then the throttle goes away, and then it's just performing much more like a class 1 electric bike. We've got a 12 magnet cadence sensor down here, so it's fairly high resolution, very responsive. We've got a chain guide. I really like that, aluminum alloy, and then a fairly long chain, but it's performed very well. A lot of times I'm like worried about it slapping, and I think they do actually have a slap guard, but this one's sort of a prototype we're looking at since we're in the United States, so it doesn't have it. Back here we have an 11 to 34 tooth 7-speed freewheel, so it's like a cassette of cogs, and it's nickel plated. Okay, so it's a little bit more durable. It's coasting very well, it's shifting very well, and part of the reason I'm highlighting this so much is because the original RadWagon had like a triple chainring, so we're going to a 1x drivetrain. But when you have electric assist support, sometimes it's nice to go with that shorter chain and a simpler drivetrain. It's less weight, fewer cables, a little bit less busy up here at the cockpit. You can press up or down to raise or lower the assist level, of which there are 5. You can take it to 0, and then it becomes like throttle only action, which is kind of cool. Both brake levers, they have motor inhibitors built in. These are mechanical brakes with 180 millimeter disc brake rotors, and they've upgraded the rotors, at least in the US. Since this is the first time it's in Europe, you're just getting all the goodies. But it's got these conical washers that allow them to adjust a little bit easier, and there's a little bit less noise, kind of the squeaking that you might have heard sometimes on other bikes. I love that they've got bottle cage bosses. They got these nice big aluminum alloy pedals with excellent tread, big sturdy double leg kickstand. They've even got a deflopulator so that front wheel kind of stays straight, and then options for mounting a front rack, which are frame mounted, so it's not going to turn and tip over if it was, you know, fork mounted. No suspension built in, but they do sell a suspension seat post upgrade that's 27.2 millimeter diameter, very common size. You could get your own suspension seat post if you wanted. This has Yepp windows, so you can put a maxi. You can actually put 2 of them, and then they've got this like caboose bar surround thing. They've got these waterproof panniers that are branded and have reflective material built in. And then the tires, that's actually another one of the areas that Rad Power Bikes has upgraded for their 2019 models. You'll see how the display is co-branded Rad Power Bikes, even though it's a King meter display. These are Kenda tires. They do have K-shield, so they're puncture resistant. They got the reflective sidewalls. They've got that checkerboard, kind of go anywhere tread, and that's why we're on this kind of sandy, rocky area. The bike feels fairly stable and comfortable, so you're getting the volume of air and maybe a little bit more drag than if this was a road bike tire, but for something like this where you've got precious cargo and you want to have some comfort and a fairly high capacity battery, it's nice to get a little bit of comfort wherever you can grab it. And I actually really like this saddle. It's got a handle on the bottom and it feels very comfortable to me personally. Swept-back handlebar, adjustable angle stem, so you can dial this thing and you can really drop down that saddle fairly low. It's an approachable frame. I wouldn't call it full wave step through, but maybe a mid step. It has a relatively low standover height, and it's like 26 inches or something, and the saddle comes down very far without colliding with all your rack stuff. So this is a long tail cargo bike. Back to the motor. This is a gearless direct drive hub motor. So there's a little bit of cogging drag compared to a planetary geared motor. It's a little bit heavier, but it gives you regenerative braking. And that's just built right in. It's automatic. On the display, you can even see how many watts you're regenerating. It goes right back into the battery. It's not, a perfect solution. It's not like 100% efficient, but it's better than nothing, and it helps reduce wear on those brake pads. So it's a cool thing to do with an otherwise very durable, smooth, quiet motor. And it's rated up to 750 watts. Is that the case for the European version too?
Yeah, it's exactly the same in Europe. So the full half twist throttle and then 750
750 watts. That's awesome, because a lot of times they're only rated to like 250 watt nominal in Europe. So, you're getting that extra power, which is really going to help if you've got a bike that's completely loaded. I think the 350 pound max weight rating, do you know the kilograms on that?
No, not off the top of my
Oh
head.
no, you got us. It'll be back at the website along with the other details. So I think that's a good look at the drivetrain and everything. If we come back to the battery pack, these are custom designed by Rad Power Bikes in 2018, and they use the same pack across like their entire fleet of bikes. And it's really handy if you have multiple bikes. Maybe you get the Rad Rhino, and then you've got the European RadWagon. You could swap batteries between them. Maybe you could take an extra battery and put it in one of those panniers to go extra far. This is rated at 48 volts, 14 amp hours, 672 watt hours. That's great. A lot of other batteries are kind of at the 500 watt hour rating right now, or capacity. It's got a little LED charge level indicator built right in. There's the charging point, so it's not down here by the pedals. The weight and the positioning on this battery is pretty nice. It's actually bolted on in 3 places, so even though it's an external pack, it's fairly solid. This is a purpose-built frame. It's designed to be an e-bike frame. It wasn't just converted. It's fairly nice. And then the price point on this, it's not too bad. It's right around 19.99 euros. So, that's pretty good. A lot of the other cargo bikes I've seen tend to be very expensive, and the accessories are also very expensive. Nothing against that. I mean, there's some really awesome like mid-drive solutions and things out there, but I just haven't seen anything that's classified like this with quite so many options and this level of power if you're willing to go through the licensing and stuff, which really didn't sound too tricky. So as far as the battery goes, it's a good idea to just, take that off and avoid the extreme heat or extreme cold. Make sure you keep it maybe half full if you're storing it for a long period of time. And then the cells inside, I think it's 18650, 35E high capacity What's the warranty like in Europe, Mike?
So the warranty is 2 years across the bike, all comprehensive manufacturer's warranty.
That's awesome.
Certain things like brake pads, tires, chain, normal wear components. That's going to be at the owner's discretion, when the time comes to replace those when they're worn out.
And we've got a couple of like experience stores or whatever. There's one in the United States. There's one in Vancouver, Canada. What about Europe?
Yeah, so in Utrecht in the Netherlands, it's like 40 minutes from downtown Amsterdam.
Sweet.
It's basically a less touristy version of Amsterdam, maybe some might say. But yeah, no, it's a beautiful place to visit, and we definitely recommend people all over Northern Europe, if you have a chance to, or you're driving through there, to stop by and say hi to the team there.
Okay. What about shipping then? How much extra does it cost, like depending on the country you're in, or?
So shipping is free across Europe. We ship to 28 European countries currently.
Wow.
So yeah, good coverage there, and shipping at times are usually very quick because we stock all the bikes in Rotterdam, and it's a very central location.
Okay, sounds like a really good setup. Again, I've zoomed through this review because we spent so much time on the US RadWagon, and I recommend checking that out. You can compare the two back to back on the website, but I'm going to just finish up with the display here. So you press the mode button and it comes to life, and because of the European requirement, the lights like immediately turn on. But if you want to, you can hold up and mode to activate backlighting for the display. So that's kind of cool. And then again, if you pull those brake levers, it's going to activate that brake light at any time. Up and down will get you into settings, so you could change to miles per hour if you didn't want kilometers per hour. The top left, we've got 5 bars on a battery infographic, 20% increments, which in my opinion could be improved. It'd be nice to see 10 steps or a percentage readout. Odometer, you can switch to trip meter by pressing mode. We've got speed in the middle, pedal assist. It always starts in 1, and the throttle's hot unless you've disabled it, so take care. Then wattage readout, and that's cool because you can see how much energy the motor is using, as well as when you're regen braking. So that's been one of my favorite features. And then if you want to do that walk mode we talked about, you just hold the down arrow, and there it goes. Spins along. So I think that's it. Might be a good chance to just hop on this thing and do a little ride test, Mike?
Yeah, sounds good.
Sweet. So you're ready to go. You just nudge the bike forward like that. The kickstand stows. I'm going to walk it out to the bike trail here. Okay, so given that this only comes in one frame size, it's really nice that they've got a longer 390 millimeter seat post, and they've got an extra large lever there so you don't have to kind of hurt your fingers sometimes when it's a small lever and you're trying to open it up. And that's just another little detail that they've really nailed for this season of bikes. I'm going to take it all the way up to assist level 5 so you guys can see the motor and just get a feel for how powerful it is and what it sounds like at the highest level. And we'll go. Feels very stable here. Those bigger tires. There's no suspension again, but they give you a little bit of float and comfort, which I appreciate. Very upright. I'm not having to lean forward too much. Can keep my eyes on the road, or maybe on kids or whatever cargo you might have. And then there's the throttle. Just enable it. There we go. So I've just swapped out with Mike, and I'm really impressed. They're offering this bike in 2 colors. So you've got that bright orange or the just highly reflective, like pearlescent white. Some of their branding and stuff has been updated for 2019 as well. It's looking pretty good. Go ahead, I'll just follow you. Love that light. You guys, I think we're good on this one. I welcome your feedback or questions, especially since the RadWagon's been available in the United States a little bit longer. You guys have gotten great feedback from people. They're one of the bigger companies in the United States, maybe even the biggest. Or do you have anything to say just to kind of reassure Europeans who might be new to your brand?
Yeah. So we were a pioneer in the direct-to-consumer e-bike space in North America. We've been around for 12 years. We now have almost 100 staff members and growing very quickly. So yeah, no, the business is very sound, very whole, and very exciting to be a part of. And most importantly, that's because of our customers and being able to do these awesome reviews.
I'm glad you guys are expanding that way. It seems like most of the e-bike companies I see are actually coming over from Europe. And it's neat to be able to share something that's, the throttle. Like, that's definitely, like, a lot of Americans like that. For the full written review, I'll see you back at ElectricBikeReview.com. And I hope you have fun out there. Ride safe. Take care.